सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीहरिं परमानन्दम् उपदेष्टारमीश्वरम् व्यापकं सर्वलोकानां कारणं तं नमाम्यहम्। अपरोक्षानुभूतिर्वै प्रोच्यते मोक्षसिद्धये सद्भिरेव प्रयत्नेन वीक्षणीया मुहुर्मुहुः। Verse number 65. सर्वोऽपि व्यवहारस्तु ब्रह्मणा क्रियते जनैः अज्ञानान्न विजानन्ति मृदेव हि घटादिकम्। मृदेव हि घटादिकम्. What we call ghata, pot, etc. is nothing but mrud, nothing but clay. Therefore, whenever we are doing anything with the pot, it is with the clay that we are doing, not knowing that it's one thing to call this object pot for the purpose of our transaction, dealing, communication. It's all right to call it pot. To believe that all it is pot is a problem here. Now there is a problem in relating to the world, using names and whatever it is. That's not the point. To think that this object is pot overlooks the fact that in reality it is clay. And therefore, I think that I am dealing with the pot, not realizing that in fact I am dealing with clay. That's the example. Similarly, whatever it is in the creation, as we've been seeing all these days, is Brahman, because Brahman is a material cause. This pot is an effect, and therefore, in essence, what it is clay, which is the material, we'll call it material cause, call it self, call it the reality of the pot, call it the self of the pot, call it the cause of the pot, whatever you call it. Meaning that material cause is the self of the effect, material cause is the essence of the effect. Material cause is in fact nothing but effect as manifest. It is clay that manifests as pot. Similarly, Brahman is the material cause of the universe. Sadeva Somya idamagrasi. The Upanishad says that this universe before its creation was nothing but Sat, existence. And where Sat is there, automatically Chit is there. Where is there, that pot is. Presupposes that pot is the object of awareness, otherwise you cannot call it is. You can't call an object is. Is there a pot in my palm? Yes, Swami. Why? Because you see it. It is an object of awareness. If I ask you, is there a pot in my palm? You'll say no. Because pot is not the object of your awareness. It does not shine in your awareness. We say it is not. When the pot shines in your awareness, you say it is. So, bhati or shining, being object of awareness, and asti, have is, they are simultaneous. Meaning that one cannot be without the other. Pot cannot possibly shine in your consciousness, cannot become object of knowledge if it is not there. And then the pot is there, is determined only when it becomes the object of a consciousness. See this? Pot is there, when will you say? Only when you know it, or you become aware of it. But when can you become aware of it? Only when it is there. You cannot become aware of the horns on my head, regardless of what you do. Why? Because they are not there, hopefully, not there. So the simple thing is, to be and to shine, both of them always go together. One cannot be without the other. If one cannot be without the other, both are one only. So to be is the same as to shine. Asti means bhati. Sat means chit. And since Sat and Chit have no vishesha, no attributes at all, no boundaries, therefore they are boundless. Means they are full, complete. Means they are ananda. So asti is the same as bhati, is the same as ananda. Sat is the same as chit, same as ananda. Brahman. So that is the essence of everything. Wherever you probe, as we say a number of times, a name and form reduces to asti, bhati, priyam. So just as, in our example, when you are dealing with the pot, in fact you are dealing with clay, whether you know it or not. If you do not know, then you lose the advantage of knowing that it is clay, if there is an advantage. Similarly, the real material cause of this object is only asti, bhati, priyam. Clay is only for example, clay and pot. But in reality, for any object, the real material cause is asti, bhati, priyam. And therefore, when I am dealing with this pot or cloth or any object in the world, in reality, I am dealing with asti, bhati, priyam. That is Brahman, which is the self. No, that's a different thing. To think that this person is a beggar and relate to it, that person is one thing. But while I think that I am dealing with the beggar, in fact he is the most famous actor. When I shake hand with the beggar, if I think he is a beggar, only satisfaction I will shaking hand with beggar. With Amitabh Bachchan, some a superstar. They have a different feeling. I shook hands with Amitabh Bachchan. So in as much as the reality of this person is that actor, which is my favorite actor, I love to be with him. I love to get selfie, whatever picture with him, which I get with that beggar, thinking this is a beggar that I have a picture. I don't have that satisfaction at all. I'm missing the fact that, in fact, it is with my most favorite actor. That if I had known, it would have given a great satisfaction, joy, gratification. Is it not so? How knowing and not knowing makes a difference? All the difference. So imagine that in fact you are shaking hands with Brahman. Can you believe that? Let alone the actor. If you like Krishna, all right, you are shaking hands with him. Brahman, for the practical purpose, is something that is most precious to you, most reverential to you. Let us just describe it that way. Oh Swamiji, I love Lord Shiva. So that's why these names are given. Somebody loves Lord Shiva, somebody loves Krishna. All right. That is another name of Brahman. That's all there is. What is this Krishna? What is this Shiva? What is the Devata, whatever you like, Christ, whatever you like. That's what it is. Can you imagine that the reality of this mundane world, which appears full of strife and conflicts, which turns me off very often, the reality of that is the most beautiful, most lovable, most desirable. So by branding the world as useless, as this, that and what not, I don't know what I'm missing. So once we brand, then we fail to see anything beyond that. You see, once I brand this as a beggar, I fail to see anything beyond that. Once I brand this object as a pot, I fail to see beyond that is clay. Clay is not a particularly exciting thing, anyway, but then we are talking about something very exciting. By Brahman we mean the most exciting that you can imagine. Oh, I would love that Swami. That's what Brahman is. So how if you are dealing with that which is most lovable to you, most exciting to you, which is a source of great joy to you, how about that? Dealing with it, talking to that. See, we really get so impressed when we hear that bhaktas were talking to Devata God, To go to Maharashtra, they say, oh, he's talking to Vithoba. So they very well know these bhaktas talk to their gods. In every saint in the whole world, you find always a direct, experience of Bhagavan, in that, whatever they call Bhagavan. How would that Narsimha Mehta is supposedly, he was a Brahmin and therefore he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. So he was driven out of the home because useless, and therefore his Bhravi, meaning the wife of his elder brother, useless fellow, which he was. So he went to Shiva temple and then there is a Shiva temple in Saurashtra where he went. And Lord Shiva was pleased with him. So what do you want? So I want what is most dear to you. So most dear to Lord Shiva is Lord Krishna. And pretty Rasa Leela of Lord Krishna. Lord Shiva loves to watch that. So this fellow is taken Rasa Leela. He had the privilege of watching. And then what happened is that they needed somebody to hold the torch. So this Shiva said, hey, hold this torch. So he's Narasimha holding the torch. He's so absorbed in watching this Rasa Leela, the dance of Lord Shiva. The fuel in that oil in the torch burnt out. the handle of the torch burnt out, his hand started burning. He doesn't know. He's so absorbed in that. So it's most thrilling that he became then the devotee of Lord Krishna. But anyway, the thing is that I want to see what is, I want that which is most dear to you. So you can imagine the joy that this Narsi Mehta had in watching this Rasa Leela, the most coveted thing. That's called Ananda. That is Brahman. And we are dealing with that alone. Ananda is not someplace else. Purnameva, what is Purnam? What is Ananda? Brahman is not an interesting word maybe of Purnam. Ananda. So what is Ananda? What is love? Or whatever word you like. That's what it is. Not recognizing that everything is made of love, if you like to put it that way. That's a material cause. Ananda is material cause. Everything is made of, so it says Upanishad, Ananda, Deva Khalvimani Bhutani, all the beings are born of Ananda. Sustained by Ananda. They must make into Ananda. So what is nothing but manifestation of Ananda? Wholeness, completeness. And where Ananda is, there is love, because we love Ananda. You can call the whole thing is manifestation of Ananda, manifestation of love, manifestation of what is most coveted to you, most desired by you. It's there, that's all there is. You don't need to go someplace. I shouldn't say it is there, it is I, but anyway, there also it is there. What is there also is that, what is I also is Brahmana. Brahman is alone interacting with Brahman. So that is the reality that Vedanta is revealing. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havi, Brahma Agnau, Brahmana Hutam, Brahma Ivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Describing the vision of the wise person who is, let us say, performing a vyavahara, performing an act called this hova, fire sacrifice. Suppose he is doing that. So in this fire ritual, you see there is fire in which you make offering of your oblation. Let us say ghee or clarified butter is that thing. So you take this with a wooden spoon. Offer, mantra and offer. So take ghee, utter a mantra, make an offering. Indraya Swaha, Prajapate Swaha, whatever it is. So, where I see a wooden spoon, a wooden ladle, and I see fire, and I see that material that is offered, and I see the one who is offering, the result of this ultimately is going to Swarga or something like that. Some result is there. Offering is made to a Devata, means Indra, Swaha, then it is offered to Indra. All these different entities are there in our perception. Lord Krishna says, when a wise person does it, what is his perception? Brahma Arpanam. What is thought Arpanam? That wooden ladder is nothing but Brahman. For whom? For that wise person. Brahma Havihi. That material that is offered, which is ghee, which is rice, whatever is offered, sesame, Brahman, Brahma Havihi. To what is offered is fire. What to me looks like fire, Brahma. No, Agni also is Brahman. Brahmana Hutam. Who is offering? This individual is making an offering. Brahmana Hutam. The offerer also is Brahman. Hutam, the whole act is Brahman. So what will be the result of this? Brahmayavati. And even the outcome also is Brahman. Brahma Karma Samadhina. For the one whose mind is absorbed in the fact that what is manifestation of Brahman. Everything is Brahman. So all dealing is with Brahman. For who? For the wise person. Because that's what it is. It is Brahman upon which we superimpose the idea of a ladder called Arpanam and superimpose the idea of oblation upon Brahman. Upon Brahman, superimpose the idea of fire. All of these are nothing but things superimposed upon Brahman, just as you say this is bangle and this is chain and this is earring. Upon one gold, we superimpose all these ideas and call them a different name and think that they are different from each other. Sarvopi vyavaharastu. So to perform any action, you require certain minimum factors. To accomplish any action, you require a person who performs action. It's called karta, Karta means the subject, the agent of action. Karma, you would offer that ghee, that's called karma. So this is all grammatical thing, Grammatical karma. The second case. Karanam, you require ladle, with which you offer. Karanam. Make offering to the devata. Is a fourth samprasada. So that's the fourth case. From one place to the other, apadana, fifth case. All of this is done at a location, dhikaranam, seventh case. Minimum thing that you need to accomplish an action. So all of these were described. Brahma Arpanam, that karma, the Arpanam is ladle, that karanam is Brahman. Brahma Havihi, the karma, what is offered also is Brahman. Brahmagno Adhikaran also is Brahman. Brahmana Hutam, the karta also is Brahman. Hutam, the karma also is Brahman. Gantavyam, karma also is Brahman. Meaning that all the factors that are involved in any kind of a dealing, they are all Brahman. Ajnana na vijananti. Because ignorance, they do not know what they are dealing with. So not knowing is missing everything. Now this fellow has a sack of some stones. This villager, a farmer. And the birds come, in his field, and there he takes one and throws them at the birds to drive them away. Some jeweler happened to pass by and say, you know what this is? These are all raw diamonds. He didn't know. He thought it was some stone. Like this, our Aparokṣānubhūti used to tell this story, This poor man went once to a Mahatma, to a saint. Because saints travel and, they go to villages. That was the main thing. They were really the people who propagated dharma into the smallest person. And everybody access to them. So he goes there, I'm very poor, please help me, do something for me. That saint gave him a stone. Take it. He brought it, I don't know what to do with it. He put it in his puja. Give him a bath and then tila tapka, whatever, some chandaram, dots. For 6 months, nothing happened. He says, we're wasting time. This stone is no use. So ultimately, he found one use. Using it for grinding chutney. Some use is there. 1 year passed. See, in the monsoon months, these Mahatmas, they settle down. Again, he must have been passing or settling. So again he went to him. Please help me. Did I see you last year, isn't it? He said, you came to me, yes. I gave you something, is it not? Yes. What did you gave me a stone? What did you do with it? I was grinding chutney with it. That was a paras money. It was a philosopher's stone. If it touches iron, becomes gold. It's called a philosparsha in Sanskrit. In English, philosopher's stone. Meaning that it's a proverbial thing. It is said that If iron touches that, iron gets transformed into gold. That is what that saint had given to this fellow. Not here what it is. Used for what? Grinding chutney. Ajnānāna vijananti. Because ignorance, we do not know what we are dealing with, what we are missing. Budevai gatādikam. So, this is what the author says. Sarvopi vyavaharastu brahmana kriyate. All the dealings are with Brahman and by Brahman and for Brahman. So, Brahmana means everything through Brahman also. Because Brahman is third case, or the first case also, every is karmani prayoga. So, Brahmana represents all vibhaktis, let us say. I just described 6 vibhaktis. Karta, karma, karana, samprasada. What is it? Sampradhanam, right? Apadanam, adhikaranam. So, this stands for all the vibhaktis. By Brahman, through Brahman, with Brahman, for Brahman. All the dealings are by Brahman, with Brahman, through Brahman, for Brahman, to attain Brahman. That's the reality of our life. Ajnānāna vijananti. Because ignorance, people do not know. So, Jivan Mukta, the one liberated while living. It is not that liberation, moksha is there only when you are in nirvikalpa samadhi. So earlier the description was, the author had quoted this passage from the Upanishad. Yasyava sarvam atmaiva bhut tat kenakam pashyet, kenakam jigret, kenakam shrunuyat. When for the wise person, everything is Atma in his vision, or Brahman. Subject also is Brahman, object also is Brahman, instrument also is Brahman. So, kenakam pashyet. All 3 cases are there. Kena with what instrument? Kam with what object? Pashyet the kriyavasi. Who will see what with what? In English it will be who will see what with what. I mean, normally we see color with eyes. So color is the object, eyes are the instrument, and I am the subject. It is minimum 3 things you require. Subject, object and instrument. So for the wise person, the Upanishad said, Yatra vasya saram atmaiva bhut. For this wise person, when everything became the self, tatra kenakam pashyet. Then, who will see what with what? Meaning that, what formerly I thought was, so there is no duality left now. Of seer, seen, seeing, all the duality disappears. All there is non-duality. So subject and object, all of these have ultimately disappeared into what? One non-dual self. So therefore, for the wise person, there is no seer, no seen, nothing. So that looks like the description of nirvikalpa samadhi. It is true. In samadhi, meaning where the subject-object duality also is ultimately resolved, then even the subject does not remain, just as in deep sleep. In deep sleep, even the I, the subject, also doesn't remain. All the duality of subject, object, and everything is there is much in ignorance, but it's not there. That experience of deep sleep sort of becomes an illustration for what it is, in the samadhi. So that description of who will see with what, where the subject, object, instrument, nothing remains, all of them have ultimately been resolved to one self or one consciousness. Looks like Upanishad is describing the moksha liberation as nirvikalpa samadhi, or when you do not have any instrument, any object, meaning after the death. So looks like the description of videha mukti, follow? When deha instrument is not there, or in nirvikalpa samadhi. But what about so the question was, what when I'm living my normal day-to-day life, can there be moksha liberation at that time or not? Because now I'm seeing, I'm the seer, you are the seen, eyes are the instrument of seeing. So all of these are there, can there be moksha? Can moksha be there only when none of this is there? Or can moksha be there when all of these are there? So that's what what is jivan mukti? Liberation while you are living, meaning liberation when all this is there. Can it be there? In reply to that, this is said, Sarvo vyavaharastu brahmana kriyate janaihi. He says, what do you think is subject? What do you think is object? What do you think is instrument? What do you think is action? All of this is Brahman. Therefore, this fact that everything is Brahman is not contradicted or not denied when you are dealing in your day-to-day life. Because a wise person no more brands things, that's all. In fact, what it is Brahman for the wise and otherwise for everybody. Not that for otherwise or ignorant person is somebody else who is coming. And that this ceases to be gold because this fellow doesn't know, he's not a jeweler and so, no, gold doesn't cease to be gold. Meaning that whether it is wise, otherwise, what is Brahman? Only wise person recognizes it like a jewel recognizes, a jeweler recognizes this is precious stone. He recognizes that this is Brahman. Then what? Itaraha itaram pashyadin, one does not see the other. When Swami, wise person doesn't, when he sees, then he doesn't, everything is all Brahman. What is happening? What happens? All disappears. If it disappears, then he can't walk, he can't do anything. If food disappears, he can't eat also. He himself will disappear anyway. So then what? There's no... whatever it is, so Vedanta says that's not so. It is not that there is someone different from me. I am branding that as object. I am branding this as subject. I am branding this as object. Volume I am branding this as an instrument. So karta, karma, karana, sampradana, apadana, adhikarana, all of these is what? Are our branding. You understand? There is no such thing as subject or object, or because subject also is Brahman, object also is Brahman, instrument also is Brahman. When Brahman is assumed all these different forms, those who recognize one actor in all these different costumes. So, the difference between wise person and ignorant is, wise person no more brands, that's all. What is Brahman for both. What is ignorance? Branding Brahman as object, as subject, as instrument, as this and that. That is called ignorance. What is knowledge? No more branding. So what is ignorance? Thinking this is only part. What is knowledge? Knowing that it is clay. So even when I think it is pot, still I am only dealing with clay. Not that it ceases to be clay because I do not know it. Similarly, whenever we are dealing, it's only with Brahman. That's all there is. So Brahman does not cease to be Brahman for an ignorant person. But ignorant person, by his glory of ignorance, splits everything. Pranj is object, different. Subject, different. Instrument, different. This is different. Thus, what ignorance makes me do is to cut it into pieces. It splits everything, divides everything. Where divisions don't exist. But this is our glory, that in ignorance we do that. And then we fight. Brahman fighting with Brahman. Can you believe that? Like the story of a dog that you heard. There's this king who was very fond of his dog, pet dog. And usually the dog would accompany him wherever he goes, but then sometimes he leaves dog in the palace. And the king also is a very, very fond of dressing. And after all, you're king and everybody is going to watch you. So he made a special room with all kinds of mirrors in there. So before he goes out, he's all dressed, he goes into that room and looks at himself and, how he looks from all different angles because people will watch him. This is a routine. He had instructed his people to make sure the dog does not go into that room. So lock that door. Once it just happened, that king like this left, he went to this hall and then usually went out. And the door of that room was inadvertently left open. And dogs being what? They always want to, anything open they want to enter. This is a dog, The dog went into that first time. There's a dog there. Dog here. Dog there. Started barking. Started barking back. Barking here. Barking there. A big battle. The king came back after some time. Doesn't find the dog anywhere. What happened? Where is he? Don't know. So then, his servants, then they found, this door was open. They found this poor dog, one corner in a pool of blood. Because he was supposedly fighting with other dogs, he attacked, that fellow attacked, he attacked. And they were dealing with what? Dealing with his own self, not recognizing so. All conflicts are created because ignorance is not so. So we fight also with Brahman. Brahman fights with Brahman. Brahman, of course, has friendship with Brahman. Brahman loves Brahman. Brahman hates Brahman. Brahman fights with Brahman. That's all it is. It is simply a matter of recognizing what is. That's where knowledge comes. Ignorance is something most, devastating. Ignorance creates all the split, creates all divisions, and creates all conflicts, and all battles, and all the grief. Only ignorance. Because I would have no issue with you. You are a Muslim and a Hindu, that's enough, then you fight. But if I knew that you are also Brahman, I am also Brahman, if that was, then it doesn't matter in what dress you are and what name you have. Would there be any conflict when there is oneness? No. What ignorance does is, creates all these entities, splits and divides and cuts one reality into many. And then they form alliances here to isolate that fellow, and then all politics is going on everywhere. Then what else can you do? No solution other than recognizing that what is one reality, where alone all conflict can go. Nobody's going to listen to you and I anyway, that's okay. But this is the ultimate solution and the only solution. Regardless, we are not concerned. We are concerned about ourselves. But let us say, immediately when you can bring this knowledge into operation when you feel sad, when you feel unhappy, when there is grief, when there is conflict. Sarvopi vyavaharastu brahmana kriyate janaihi. All the dealings are done by people with Brahman, through Brahman, by Brahman. Ajnananna vijananti is because of ignorance that they do not know. Is ignorance because of I think that he is my enemy, his adversary. He is not even friend, he is myself, much more than friend. We can at least remind us of this verse. Still I don't see oneness, but at least I know that it is so. And that whatever grief has arisen, whatever has arisen in me, all strife, is because of ignorance, not knowing what it is. It will be very consoling. It may not, the grief may not go away, but at least the intensity, will come down. We can manage it by reminding ourselves, focusing attention on what the reality is. That's the theme everywhere. Lord Krishna says that, look, I am there. It's because of me alone that all the dealings are possible. Look at, I am the light in the sun and the moon and the fire which illumines the whole universe. So know that to be my light. Understand that I enter the earth and I am sustaining the whole universe by my power. As moon, I am only giving I am nurture and nourish and give taste to all the plants and vegetables. I am the digestive fire in the stomach and I digest all kinds of food. I am dwelling in your heart, your own self. Meaning that every moment, whatever you are doing is all because of me. Without him, nothing can be done. So this is the truth that the scriptures keep on bringing before us. So how do you say everything is Brahman? The next verse tells us, 66. Tatra hetum sadrishtantamaha. What's the hetu? That everything is, all dealings are with Brahman. Why? So that is given here. Karya karanata nityam aste ghatamrudor yatha tathaiva shruti yuktibhyam prapancha brahmanoriha. Yatha Ghatamrudoho karya karanata nityam aste. Ghata and mrud, the pot and the clay. Ghatamrudoho, which case is that? Seventh case. Wow. Can it be anything else? Ghatamrudoho, which Dvivachan? Okay. Of which case? Seventh. Can it be another one also? Ramasya, Ramayoho, Ramanam, Rame, Ramayoho, Rameshu. So Ramayoho is dual for what? Both sixth and seventh, is it not so? So it was sixth case also. So Ghata Mrudoho, of the Ghata, and the relationship between the two, of the pot and the clay. What's the relationship? That's Karya Karanata. The Mrud or clay is Karanam and Ghata or pot is Karya. And only Nityam, meaning that the relation between the clay and the pot is always that of cause and effect, material cause and effect, right? That being the case, it is the material cause alone that manifests as an effect. So even though we say the relation between clay and the pot, really pot is not an entity separate from clay, it is clay alone that manifests as the pot, because clay is the material cause. Tathaiva, in a manner similar to that. Shruti yuktibhyam prapancha brahmanorya. So when you say that, it's said that when you are dealing with a pot, in fact you are dealing with clay. Why? Because clay is the material cause of the pot. And that is very clear to us. So pot is something well known to us, that it is made of clay. Clay is the material cause, and therefore pot is never apart from clay. Pot is clay, therefore when you are dealing with pot, in fact you are dealing with clay. So when you are dealing with the fact, you are in fact dealing with the material cause, right? So this is what we learn from this pot and clay. Ghata mrudoho. Tathaiva, in a manner similar, prapancha brahmanorya. Prapancha means what? The universe. Brahma is Brahman. So what is the cause and what is the effect? In prapancha and Brahma, which one is the cause and which one is the effect? Brahman is the cause. Prapancha is effect. Okay? So then, what's the relationship between them? If Brahman is the cause and prapancha is effect, then relationship between them is similar to that between clay and the pot. Is it not so? So just the reason why we say that when you are dealing with the pot, in fact you are dealing with clay, is because clay is the material cause of the pot. Similarly, when you are dealing with prapancha or universe or the creation which is effect, you are dealing with, so whenever you deal with an effect, in fact you are dealing with the material cause. Understand? From the clay and pot example, this is what we learn. The pot stands for all effect, any effect, and clay stands for any material cause. So whenever in fact you deal with an effect such as a pot, in effect you are dealing with clay, which is the material cause. Now when you take the prapancha universe, then Shruti says, Sadeva Somedam Agrasid, his Sat is the material cause of the universe, of names and forms. So while dealing with a pot, if in fact you are dealing with clay, similarly while dealing with prapancha or universe, what are we dealing with? Its material cause, is not so? If universe is in effect, then in fact we are dealing with this material cause. And what's the material cause? Brahman. Asti bhati priya. So that is why we said in the earlier verse, that all dealings are only with Brahman, because Brahman is the material cause of whatever is in the universe. How did you decide? How did you arrive at this conclusion? Shruti yuktibhyam. Shruti Upanishad clearly says, from Brahman the world is Brahman, from Jito Vayamani Bhutani Jayante, from there which it comes and must sustain and goes back. So Shruti clearly describes Brahman as a material cause. And Yukti. Again, another thing is Shruti says, you know what? That by knowing one particle of clay, you in fact know all that is made of clay. Meaning that by knowing the material cause, in effect, you know all the effects. Because an effect is not separate from material cause. An effect is nothing but material cause. A pot is nothing but clay. Therefore, when you know clay, you in effect know all the things that are made of clay. That's called yukti. What is the reason? Yukti or reasoning? By knowing the material cause, you in effect know all the effects. So Brahman is material cause. Therefore, by knowing that, you know the whole universe. Therefore, universe is nothing but Brahman. Shruti and Yukti. That's why we said in the earlier verse, all the dealings are done with Brahman. These are the verses we can sit down and think about. That Shruti says, this one is Brahman? Wait a minute, So take a difficult case. When you are by yourself, you can take it. Otherwise, in the day-to-day dealing, we are thrown off. Don't tell me this is Brahman, Everything else I can accept. All right. So, but when you are meditating, you don't have to really deal with that, anybody. And then, therefore, you can be generous enough to really examine what it is. then you can give benefit of doubt to that fellow also. Yeah, he's also same flesh and blood and I am also same flesh and blood. I mean, similarities are at many levels. Brahman is the highest similarity. There is Maha, this is so many Samya. Sameness is there at many levels. That we are all human beings, that is one sameness. All living beings are made same 5 elements, is it not so? All human beings are same flesh and blood. I mean, samples are not different. If you take blood sample from this enemy and from me, it won't be different. All Purusha and Prakriti, he also is a combination of Purusha, Prakriti, the self and non, so am I. Prakriti is never apart from Purusha, all he is Purusha. So this is how so many levels of sameness is there, not in one. At least we can see some very obvious level of sameness. So when you were children, you take a stone and throw it dog, and okay, look, why do you do that? There also is life, That's what mother would point out, that you have some life. So similarity between myself and dog. What similarity? He's also a living being. I'm also a living being. It also wants to live. I also want to live. That when we do all the conflicts created by only emphasizing this similarity, they get resolved when we shift our attention to what is common. Nirdosham is samam Brahma. Brahman is the most common. But start with 5 elements, start with this, and then you see many things that are in common at many levels. So then the karya ananyatvam, that effect is not separate from cause. Cause is separate from effect, but effect is not separate from cause. This is the Vedantic equation, understand? B is equal to A, but A is not equal to B. The beggar is not separate from actor. Actor is separate from beggar. Beggar is not separate from actor. Clay is separate from pot. Pot is not separate from clay. Isko ananyata, not aveda. Aveda means identity. So effect and cause don't have identity. Non-separatedness, you follow. So we don't say the effect is identical to cause. We say effect is non-separate from cause. Aveda is identity. Jiva and Brahma are identical. Meaning Jiva is Brahman, Brahman, both ways the equation applies. But pot and clay are not identical. They are non-separate. So 2 words are there. Avinnatvam, ananyatvam. Avinnatvam, identity, no bheda at all. Ananyatvam, not separateness. So effect is not separate from the material cause. Tat ananyatvam arambana shabdadi, meaning that the universe is not separate from Brahman. Universe is not identical to Brahman, not separate from Brahman. What is not separate from clay? So karya ananyatvam. What is ananyatvam? Non-separatedness of the effect from the cause. So that is the reason why, in as much as pot, which is effect, is not separate from clay, which is the cause, therefore when we are dealing with pot, we are dealing with clay. So this kind of non-separatedness between effect and cause is explained by many examples. So says the next verse, Kriyamane ghate yadvata Mrittika bhati vaibalat Vikshemane prapanchepi Brahmaiva bhati bhasuram. Kriyamane ghate yadvat. When you perceive a pot, when you see a pot, here grahana means perception. Grahana means taking or grahana means perception. Kriyamane ghate. When you perceive the pot, when you see the pot, Mrittika bhati vaibalat. Whether you like it or not, the clay forcefully shines or manifests itself. You know? So, perforce, when you perceive the pot, perforce the clay shines there. Why? Because pot is not separate from clay. Pot cannot shine unless clay shines. Pot cannot exist unless the clay exists. So, asti, pot is. Bhati, pot shines because of what? The isness of the pot comes from who? From what? The isness of the pot comes from clay. Also, that shining of the pot, being object of knowledge is called shining. That pot is object, becomes the object of knowledge. Or pot has the ability to become the object of my knowledge. It's because of what? Clay. Is it not so? So when I am perceiving the pot, what am I really perceiving? Clay. Gruhyamane ghate yadvat mrittika bhati vai balat. When a pot is perceived, balat per force, it is a clay that shines. When the pot shines in my perception, it is in fact the clay that also shines. I think that I am perceiving the pot. What am I really perceiving? Is it not so? I say pot is, but what is really is? Clay. I think the pot shines, but what does really shine? Clay. Meaning that whenever you perceive an effect such as pot, what you are really perceiving is clay, the cause such as the clay. Is it not so? Grikhyamane ghate yadvat. So when ghata is perceived, in fact it is clay that is perceived. So clay in fact shines. Whether you like it or not, you may not recognize it as a different thing. If I am too preoccupied with the pot, too attached to the pot, it's quite likely that I may miss the fact that this is clay. That is not unusual. Whether I miss or not is a different thing. But whenever I perceive the pot, it is perforce clay, in fact, bhati shines. Similarly, when I perceive the prapancha, the universe, when I see the universe, when I interact with the universe, Brahmaiva abhati bhaswaram, it is Brahman alone that shines because Brahman is material cause. So, the example is clay and pot. The effect and the material cause. So, what applies to clay and pot applies to every case of material cause and effect. Is it not so? So, prapancha is creation, is effect. What is material cause? Brahman asti bhadi priyam. So, what shines? The universe shines. When can it shine? Pot shines. When can it shine? Only when the clay shines. Pot can exist only when clay can exist. So what this universe is in front of me, because of what? What gives it isness? The universe shines before me, becomes object of my awareness, because of what? Brahman. Brahmaiva abhati bhaswaram. And perhaps the pot may not even shine. Clay may not even shine, but Brahman is self-effulgent, cannot but shine. This pot and clay are examples, all right. But Brahman is what? Not only material cause, but it is self-revealing, self-shining, and there, whether you like it or not, always shines. But Swami, when I close my eyes, and does Brahman shine? Suppose I plug all my sense organs, and totally, or I am sleeping, let us say. Meaning I have shut myself off completely from the universe. Then universe does not shine, so Brahman doesn't shine, isn't it? Universe does not shine. When I completely shut myself off, as I do in sleep, all the ears, all the doors are closed for perception. Mind also is not there. No perception, no universe. So universe doesn't shine. So Brahman also doesn't shine, isn't it? Brahman shines? Where? It shines, keeps shining there. Where does it shine? As my own self. Yeah. Bhasuram. Pramana nirpekshata eva bhasana shilam. That clay shines because my eyes illumines the clay, therefore the clay shines. But Brahman doesn't require me to illumine that. I'm illuminated, so therefore it shines whether I illumine or not. So these examples are limited because they shine because I illumine them. But Brahman shines, even if I shut myself off, still it shines as my very self. Therefore, when I say world is, in fact, isness goes where? To Brahman. See, in the rope snake example, we told you earlier, I said this is a snake. So then this is applies to what? Thisness is where? In the rope. Isness is where? In the rope. That thisness and isness of the rope are lent to the snake. Therefore I am able to say this is snake. Is it not so? Does snake have an isness of its own? If has, then it will not go. If snake has isness of its own, then even if you throw torchlight, it won't go. Why does it go? Because it doesn't have its own isness. And what is isness remains, namely rope. The snake doesn't have the thisness, so it disappears. Thisness of the rope remains. So he said, this is snake. This belongs to what? The rope. So I think that I'm looking at the snake, and snake is, what is really shining is the rope. Similarly, what shines is Brahman. So other examples are also given. Nanu brahmani bhasamane prapancho na bhaseta iti ashankya. But then what happens is, for a wise person, suppose you are in samadhi, or to a wise person everything is Brahman. So is it not that for the wise person there is no prapancha at all? Because he sees only Brahman. Brahmani bhasamane prapancho na bhaseta. You said the Brahman so always shines. So Brahman shines but prapancha may not shine. So how do you say that both of them are shining? So the example is given how both of them are shining. Says here, next verse. Sadaivatma vishuddhoste hyashuddho bhati vai sada yathaiva dvividha rajjuh jnanino nisham. Sadaiva Atma Vishuddha Asti. Atma of the self is always Vishuddha, never pure, never impure. To whom? To the one who sees Atma. For the wise person who recognizes Atma, who recognizes Brahman, who recognizes the consciousness as the only reality, to him what shines is only Brahman as a subject, object, whatever it is, all Brahman. Not that Brahman is, for a wise person, Brahman has not become object, has not become the world. Brahman shines as well. To me, so there is a world, real world. For the wise person, what is Brahman? Meaning that the worldliness does not affect Brahman, meaning that impurity does not affect Brahman, because just as the poison of a snake does not affect the rope, or just as the wetness of the water does not affect the desert, so also all the plurality, etc. of the universe does not affect Brahman. So sadaiva atma vishuddha asti. As far as the wise person is concerned, the Atma is always pure. Ajnana tatkarya prapancha malarahitatvat. What is impurity? The universe is impurity. Because product of ignorance. So ignorance is the greatest impurity. You follow? In Vedanta, greatest impurity is ignorance. And therefore, what is caused by ignorance? So ignorance and the universe, which is the effect of ignorance, is all impure. You know, in what sense? Because there is duality, there is division, and that's why there is strife. Then in that sense it is impure. For the wise person doesn't see prapancha. What does he see is Brahman. Even if he sees, his eyes see prapancha, all right. So when you go to watch a movie, your eyes see a beggar. But what does the mind see? Amitabh Bachchan. Is it not so? When the annual cultural program is taking place in Gurukulam, my son, all parents are there, you know. There's one time when everybody is there because they want to watch their children. So everybody thinks there is Duryodhana there, but what do I see? My son. So Duryodhana is an impure fellow. This fellow is Duryodhana, impure. Why has my son become impure? No. Impure is only in the dress, only in the costume. So I only see my son ever pure. Whether other people say an impure, useless, I know whatever you want to call him, you see, Duryodhana. There's Kamsa. All very cruel people. So where people see cruelty, where do I see? Innocence. So innocence and cruelty are seen simultaneously by what? The enlightened and unenlightened. By the wise and the otherwise. So both of them are seen, but by different people. So as far as wise person is concerned, all it is Purnatvam. All it is fullness. All it is Brahman. All it is ever pure. That's all he sees. Because as far as he is concerned, even if universe is perceived, he knows that the universe is only a superimposition which does not affect the substratum. Just as the superimposition of the water, mirage water, does not in any way wet one grain of sand. Just as superimposition of the snake does not make the rope poisonous. So guna and or also the superimposition of silver doesn't make that shell precious. Meaning guna and dosha, the virtues and vice of the superimposition do not touch the substratum. They were the same. So wise person, ever pure. Ajñāninastuhu. But for the ignorant person, sadaiva ashuddha. For ignorant person, what is impure? Meaning all duality, all separatedness, all duality, all divisions. When we see the world, it is very clear. What I am seeing is different from me and what is, I am different from them. It's very clear. That is called impurity, By impurity, we don't mean all this stuff impurity. That's all. But basic impurity is what? That I exclude you and you exclude me. That's where all the conflict is, where all the fear is. That is where all problems are. That's impurity. So ignorant person, by superimposing, giving reality to name and form, sees only impurity. Yasaiva dvividha rajjuhu. Just as rajju is also twofold. Rajju means rope, is twofold. For the wise person, it is always a rope. For the ignorant person, it is always a snake. Rope snake example, the one who thinks he projects a snake, for that is always a snake. For the one who knows what it is, always a rope. So, yatha rajjuhu jnanina sarva bhavataha nirveshatvena abhayankari. Where this ignorant person is fearful, he is afraid, is scared. Because he sees a snake there. Swami is 6 feet long snake and look at this, his fangs and look at that. So same object becomes what? Bhayankara. Meaning what? Causing tremendous fear. To the one who knows what it is, abhayankari. No fear at all. How the perception changes everything. How just the false perception causes all the fear. How the true perception removes all the fear. How the false perception causes all division and strife and conflict, how the true perception sees nothing, no reason for it. Ajñānastu sarvarūpadaya viparitattvana bhayankareti. Same object is innocent for one and cause of fear for the other. Same thing, because of the two perception, knowledge and ignorance. Brahma yadyapi swayam prakasha sada bhati eva. Even the Brahman being self-shining always shines. Tathapi. But still it is not enough. It is not enough that Brahman shines. Not enough that Brahman is myself. It is known as such. Not enough that the clay shines as a pot. I should recognize it as clay. It is not enough that this is a philosopher's stone or a parasaman, a jewel. That this is a diamond. It's not enough. I should know it as diamond. Or this is a piece of glass for me. One doesn't recognize just a piece of glass means nothing, useless. So this thing always shines as diamond. It's not enough that it is diamond. It's necessary that I should know it as diamond. It's not enough that it's all Brahman is shining all the time as the universe as myself. It should become what? Become the object. Means vrittya, we discussed this. Vrittya, it must become object of knowledge. It's not enough that this fellow is 10th man. He should know that he is 10th man. Being 10th man is not enough. He keeps, poor fellow is suffering because he has lost his friend. It's not enough that he is 10th man. He should know that he is 10th man. Not enough that he has glasses. He should know that he has glasses. It is not enough that I am Brahman. I should know that I am Brahman. Not enough that this prapancha is Brahman. We should know that that's a difference between the ignorant and the wise. How can the same thing shines differently to these two persons? Is Brahman Swamiji, why should it shine as differently to other person? Brahman is Brahman, so everybody should know Brahman because self-shining is not enough that it's self-shining. It should shine in my mind as a knowledge. It's called vritti jnana. It should become the object of my knowledge. I am Brahman. Vrittya ruda chaitanyam. It's called vritti jnanam, meaning that Brahman should become the object of knowledge. This fellow should know I am. So 10th man became the object of knowledge. Means say, you are the 10th man. Oh, I am 10th man. What happened? 10th man became the object of knowledge. 10th man was always there. In his mind now he sees 10th man. It's called vritti jnanam, knowledge in the form of the enlightened thought. So also what is important is that Brahman should become the object of knowledge. Then only you recognize his being is not enough. It's not enough that this is my favorite actor. It's not enough. I should recognize him. Not enough that this is a precious jewel. I should recognize it. Not enough that this is all Brahman. I should recognize it. Not that recognition is called knowledge, you see. Not enough that I am Brahman. I should recognize myself as Brahman. I should see myself as Brahman. So then only Brahman becomes useful, otherwise Brahman is useless. He is of no use to me. This thing is a very precious stone. It is of no use to me when I do not recognize it as such. So Brahman is my very self. Comes to no use. When does it become useful? When I recognize it. So Purushartha Upayogiti, Brahman becomes Upayogi, becomes the goal, becomes in fact, it is goal of my life. Only when it is recognized that it fulfills Etad Buddha Buddhiman Syat Kritakrutyasya Bharata. Hey Arjuna, knowing this, one becomes intelligent in the real sense. Kritakrutya gains total fulfillment. In spite of my being Brahman, I remain the most unfulfilled person. So fulfillment comes not by being Brahman, by knowing that I am Brahman. Surya Deepadhiva Chakshashmat Andayoho iti dik. Meaning that there is a sighted person and there is a blind person. Sun is there. It's not enough that sun is there. You should see it. Just as a blind person is deprived of sun in spite of being there, and a sighted person sees it, so is there. Son of Brahman is there. Ignorant is as good as blind person doesn't see it. In spite of being so, just because it's there doesn't mean should see. You should be able to see. You should have the instrument of seeing. You follow? It's not enough that sun is and shining. Even though sun is and shines, still it doesn't necessarily become the object of your knowledge unless you have the eyes. So for a sighted person, sun is very evident. For the one who doesn't have the sight, as good as not there. He has no benefit of sun. Vimudaha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshusha. Lord Krishna says, He is the very self. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam. The self, utkramantam, we are departing. Sthitam vapi, while it is here. Bhunjanam, all enjoyments, all experiences having. Gunanvitam. Through all the guna, the instruments, the Brahman alone or self alone is doing this. Vimudaha nanu pashyanti. Is never far away from my very self. Vimudaha nanu pashyanti. The ignorant do not see it as such. Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. Those who have the eye of knowledge, they see. So therefore the example is a sighted person and a blind person. An ignorant is blind as far as he doesn't have the eyes of knowledge. In that sense, ignorant person is blind, and a wise person is a sighted person. As much as jnana chakshu, he has the eyes of knowledge. Makes all the difference. Sun shining is of no use unless you see it. Brahman being shining as myself is no use unless I see it as such. Therefore, these two avasthas, the state of knowledge, the state of ignorance, how it makes all the difference, that's what the author has shown here. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.